Well, it's a very warm welcome back to second half independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Allianz Stadium in Turin has just got underway. It is goalless between Juve and Manchester City. And in fairness, although the game wasn't played at a particularly slow pace, I mean, you could see both teams were trying to get forward. Juve, albeit with limited options to get forward, they were soaking up pressure from City for most of that first half, but they had a decent effort on goal through Kenan Yildiz. Bouncing shot from just outside the box, which had Ederson diving at full stretch. At the other end, Di Gregorio was forced into a really good save when De Bruyne threaded the ball through towards Haaland. But it was a good one-handed save from the goalkeeper to keep the game at 0-0. And at the start of this second half, we're hoping that both teams have thought about it in the break and maybe had some ideas on how to break down this opposition. But it's going to be difficult here because City are going to try and keep as much of the ball as they did in the first half. And it's down to Juve, really, I think, to try and break that up and whether or not they can actually do something to try and force the issue at the other end. But it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Si Barlow taking the reaction side. It was a tough first half at times, but I still think enough talent on the pitch for us to hope for a bit more attack-wise in the second half.
Yeah, that moment where De Bruyne linked up with Haaland gives you some hope that we might see a bit of magic to break the deadlock in this game. Two teams, I mean, obviously Juventus defensively have been very good. Manchester City haven't, so it might not need that much of an improvement from Juventus to actually get some joy against City's defence, because they are a little bit out of sorts at the moment.
Well, it's a good bit of work there from Conceição down the right-hand side. He forces a deflection off Jeremy Doku, so inside the first 90 seconds of the second half, it's Juve that have a corner kick on the right-hand side. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger. To aim at here inside the penalty area. Ball now whipped in. It's aimed towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Gets away from Danilo. It drops to Yildiz, who hits it so much of a funny angle that it actually goes away almost for a corner kick back towards Koopmeiners, who does the natural thing of trying to keep it in play, but in doing so, the Dutchman is quite a long way offside.
Yeah, I mean, he must have known he was offside. He's just given City an easy free kick to get out of trouble there. If he just left the ball to run, maybe it goes out for a throw-in, which is tougher for City to get away, or maybe it doesn't go out at all and a teammate can come and can get the ball. So he just made a bad call there, I think, did Koopmeiners.
Yeah, I think team players have got to remember now that even from things like corner kicks, teams are going to push up as quickly as they can, because there's so many short corners taken now that it's a very easy way of winning possession back, as City just proved to themselves right there. And playing out from the back now, trying to get something started down the right-hand side. Walker finding De Bruyne, but still inside their own half here. And there are 5 Juve players just trying to make it more difficult. And it pays off because it's a bit of a crooked pass out towards De Bruyne from Kyle Walker. Gets a round of applause there from Guardiola, because he'll always be encouraging his team to play out from the back. But the risk of that, the side effect, is that you're going to lose possession occasionally, or more than occasionally.
Yeah. They're losing possession a bit more than they used to. I mean, I've got no stats to back that up. It just feels like they're a little bit disjointed at the moment compared to City at the very best. I think results would probably speak for that, though. Manchester City have been so awesome for the last 4 or 5 years now that when you see them going through a spell like this, it's easy to see why it's happening, because players are just missing, just not making passes or not making runs, or doing things on the ball that you see them have been doing for years.
It's always the way, isn't it? After a few bad results, players, coaches, managers, they all start to doubt themselves whether or not everything is right, whether something else needs to be changed. Sometimes trying to overcomplicate things slightly. But City, for their part, what they have to do in this second half is more of the same in terms of keeping possession. But on a few occasions, they had corner kicks and free kicks where the quality wasn't quite there. Just need to make sure they get those basics right, really, to try and put this Juve defence under a bit more pressure. But they're trying something now down the right-hand side with Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. Silva back here towards Walker on the halfway line. He's got options on the left in Doku, who's got his arms up there. He's completely unmarked, Jeremy Doku, but City staying on the right here now with Bernardo Silva finding De Bruyne. His pass finding Gundogan into the box. His shot is charged down. It deflects towards Haaland. He couldn't quite get his foot round it, though. It's cleared back into midfield where Walker keeps it alive, going back towards Ruben Diaz on the halfway line. Poor old Doku is completely unmarked, still on that left-hand side, but it's going to be quite difficult, I think, for Bernardo Silva to pick him out from where he is. Right over on this right-hand side, it's back over towards Walker, and now Gvardiol on the halfway line. Doku dropping a bit deeper. The pass does finally find him on the left here, and he's trying to take on Savona. Getting away from Savona, but Savona just about gets a foot in there just to slow down Doku. He still keeps possession here for Manchester City. Back towards Jack Grealish. Just Haaland in the penalty area here for Grealish to aim at, so he goes back into midfield now for Ruben Diaz. Diaz holding it up. Options here to try and go down the left-hand side, so it's Walker towards the right here for Bernardo Silva. Pass into Gundogan, who tries to leave it for Haaland. That's a good block in the way there, trying to get the ball away was Gatti. And now Danilo finding Vlahovic in midfield, who is brought down, and that's going to be a free kick to Juve. That was a long spell of possession for Man City with no shot at the end of it.
No, not too surprising the way that Juventus have defended in this game. The two central midfielders, I think, very interesting the way they operate together. Thuram and Locatelli, they don't get caught the wrong side of the ball, and when the ball's played into wide areas, the one that's nearest to it goes very quickly across. That does leave a bit of a gap in the middle, though, and City might be able to exploit that with quick changes of direction, quick switches of sort of direction, if you like, from one side to the other when they get into that final third. They haven't really got the tempo of the passing right to try and do that at the moment, though. But I think there's definitely an avenue there that City could try and move Thuram to one side, then try and get runners through the middle, like they did almost with Gundogan there when he got his shot away.
No, I think it's a fair point. I mean, I made the point that Doku was screaming for the ball on that left-hand side. There was no way to get it to him, but that's exactly what the point you're making. The City have just got to find a little bit more variation in that final third, just to try and get those two central midfielders away from that back line, because they really are helping out for the time being. But it's good work here in midfield from Thuram, being closed down here by Gundogan. Bringing it back in towards Gatti. Now it's with Savona. Doku just in front of him, so has to play it back in towards Gatti. Still 4 or 5 City players here just lurking at the edge of the area if Juve were to give it away. Yildiz had to drop a lot deeper now just to try and help his side out. Here is Thuram, being closed down by Gundogan again, but he plays the pass into the middle. It just gets away from Vlahovic, and Juve worked very hard to keep the ball and then lost it almost immediately as they tried to play it a bit further forward. Grealish gets brought down. He wants a free kick. None of the officials are interested. City can't try and push forward. Now with De Bruyne, it just gets a little bit too far away from him. And Gatti now bringing it forward here for Juve. Big centre-backs away into the Manchester City half now. Finds Conceição on the right-hand side. He breaks into the penalty area. Gets it onto his left foot, then back onto his right. There's an overlap there as well if he wants to use it. But he's going all himself now, Conceição. Then he goes back towards Savona. He plays it a bit further back as well. A cross coming in from Locatelli. Then an overall, that's a fantastic effort there from Gatti of all people. The big centre-back had stayed up and he went for a scissor kick. The second ball coming in. It's a header. It's over the line. Surely the referee looks at his watch. And that's going to be a goal for Juve on 53 minutes. It's Vlahovic's header which sort of cannons into Ederson, the goalkeeper, but it was over the line before he could react. And that's seconds after Federico Gatti, the big centre-back, had tried an overhead scissor kick to try and put Juve in front. But at the end of it all, Juve do lead 1-0. Yeah,
Ederson fumbled it over the line. I mean, it was very tough for him because it was a point-blank range header at the back post. I don't think City dealt with that situation very well, and it was all down to Gatti's improbable run from the back. You know, he surged forward maybe 60 yards with the ball, laid it off and stayed in the penalty area even when the move broke down. It's like a second phase cross that comes in. Fantastic scissor kick which Ederson keeps out, but then it's a poor play after that. Gvardiol loses possession, Yildiz puts it in, and Gvardiol is beaten there underneath the ball by Vlavic's header which Ederson couldn't keep out.
Well, City have enough players there, really, and the goalkeeper on the line as well, that from that position, really, Vlahovic shouldn't be scoring. It's good work from Vlahovic to get his head to it, but considering that Gvardiol's there, Lewis is just behind him, you've got the ball pretty much straight at Ederson. He gets his whole body behind it, but can't quite stop it getting over the line. That does make things very interesting in this game now. City with the lion's share of possession, the lion's share of the attacking intent, really, in the minutes leading up to that goal. But all of a sudden now they find themselves a goal down. Still plenty of time. They were only at 54 minutes in this game, so City have more than enough time. But this is great goal scoring for him. Vlahovic now with his 4th goal in his 5th Champions League game this season.
Yeah, he's he's an icon at this club, isn't he? But sometimes, he just relies on service, and he's not been getting a great deal of service this season. But that was a great ball. It was put up to the back post by Yildiz. It was over the head of Gvardiol, who was backpedaling. Vlahovic physically, got in there and powered a header towards goal. And it was straight at the goalkeeper, but it was too powerful for him to hold, and it's crept in. So he gets his 4th Champions League goal of the season, and he's definitely the most potent threat in this Juve side. Yildiz, I've been impressed by him as well, but he's not a goal scorer. But Vlahovic certainly is.
Certainly is, and Manchester City now find themselves a goal down. Their next game, by the way, is a Manchester derby at the Etihad on Sunday. That'll be the 4:30 kickoff. And then they're away to Aston Villa just before Christmas as well. So a couple of tough games there for City.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be outside the top 24 of the Champions League, I think, tonight, if they lose this game. I mean, we'll have a look at that in a moment, but they're going to be very close to dropping out of the top 24. Let's put it that way.
They're going to be at a point. They're still going to be in the top 24, but they're going to be in 22nd place as things stand, and they're only going to be a point clear of teams like Stuttgart and PSG, of course, who are just outside that top 24.
And they've got 2 games left in the competition. One, I think, is an easy home game, and the last game is away to PSG, and that's a game where PSG or Manchester City could go out if they lose.
Well, it makes it fascinating, doesn't it, in terms of it being a shootout towards the end? But as you say, City are away to PSG first, and then they play at home to Club Brugge. But of course, if they were to lose to PSG, having lost tonight, then it could all be over by the time they play Club Brugge. But that's all still to come. Both of those games, by the way, are to come in January. Still feels quite weird saying that about a Champions League group stage game, but of course everything's been changed now. Every team getting 8 games in the league stage rather than just 6. Meantime, Juve have got forward again, but the ball into the box just got away from Vlahovic this time. It's really down to City now to just try and instill a little bit more control in terms of the possession and try and just be a little bit more attack-minded. But they've been trying to be attack-minded all game so far.
Yeah, they have. It's just Juventus have been really disciplined in their defence, and they've taken they've exploited their moments in attack, or their one big moments in attack, and it's going to be even harder now for City to break down this Juve team because they've got something to hang on to now.
They do, and City are trying to work something now down the right here. It's Gundogan back in towards Bernardo Silva. His pass finds Jack Grealish just at the edge of the D. He holds it up and goes over towards Doku. Doku skips away from Lacazette. That's great work from Doku. His strike is charged down. Lewis going for goal. That effort is also charged down. That's a really good work there in the edge of the area there from Koopmeiners. Just to block the ball, but it's Walker recycling it for City down the right. He gets the ball into the penalty area. That one is charged down by Yildiz. Everyone back here for Juve, but then the pass from Yildiz out towards the left-hand side doesn't reach Kalulu, and Man City have another chance to try and get the ball into the box. It's Walker into De Bruyne. De Bruyne's pass charged down by Yildiz. Vlahovic now back a little bit deeper. He brings the ball away and then he pings it out towards the right-hand side. If Conceição can take this down, suddenly Juve have got a really good chance. Conceição forced out wide, but he's still got the ball. It gets away from Guardiola, goes for goal, which was the wrong option. There were 2 players waiting at the edge of the area. And now it's with Jack Grealish who brings the ball away for Manchester City. Then Doku then runs straight into trouble. He wants a free kick. He's not getting one. It's just going to be a throw to Juve. In fairness, Clement Turpin has let a lot of the 50-50s go, and probably even a few that aren't even 50-50.
Yeah, he's not a referee that goes to his pocket for cards a lot this season. I think he's averaging just over 3 in all the matches he's refereed, and we know he's got the experience of refereeing some very, very big games in the past, and this is one where he's just sort of he's just let the game flow a little bit, and it's worked, hasn't it?
Certainly has, and as I say, City have been frustrated there a couple of times, but they've won the ball back in now with Gundogan, heading towards the edge of the area. It's with Grealish. He gets it onto his right foot, edge of the D, finds Bernardo Silva, goes for goal. He was trying to really place that one into the bottom corner. It's a couple of players, including Gundogan, inside the 6-yard box, that are just saying he could have tried to lay it off to me as well, but it's blocked by Danilo and it's out for a corner.
Yeah, Juventus' defence is just really well drilled at protecting that goal. You know, that they don't overcommit to chase the ball. They know where the teammates are. They've got the right angles to block shots that come in on the goal, and it's proving very hard for City to bypass at the moment.
It's going to be an outswinger here from Kevin De Bruyne. Options there at the edge of the area, but the cross is low. It's disappointing. It's hooked clear, not too far away from the penalty area, though. Still half a chance here for City, although this time Yildiz gets in the way of Gundogan and De Bruyne. Plays himself into a bit of a cul-de-sac there, but uses Kalulu now, who then slings it long up towards the halfway line. Doesn't quite reach Conceição, but at least Juve avoided that initial danger from the set piece. It's back now with Grealish towards Ruben Diaz. To De Bruyne on the right-hand side. He finds Bernardo Silva. Options at the edge of the area here for Bernardo Silva. Doku's dropped on the right-hand side this time, but Silva chooses to ignore him. He goes back in towards Kyle Walker. Bernardo Silva again into Walker. Back now to Ilkay Gundogan, and City again moving that ball around from right to left and left back to right, but there's no options to try and get that ball into the box. Now it's Gundogan trying to pick out Doku, who does get there just before the ball goes out of play, hooks it back in towards the 6-yard box, and Gatti is there again with a good clearance.
Yeah, Doku made a darting run. I think he might have been offside. Actually, just seen a replay. It was very hard to tell at the time. The linesman did keep his flag down, but I think if that had resulted in a goal for Manchester City, they would have probably ruled it out for offside on the VAR.
I think it probably would have been offside. As we're getting the official goal line technology replay now. And in fairness to Ederson, he did his best to scramble that ball clear once he'd made an initial ricket, but it's clear to see that that ball was completely over the line. And it's a long clearance now from the goalkeeper Di Gregorio into the Manchester City half. It gets away from Vlahovic, then it's hooked up in the air by Thuram. It's headed on by Koopman as the flag stays down. City were looking for an offside. It's Yildiz now. Ball into the box. Oh, and I tell you what, Ederson has spilled that. He's still not got hands to it. He's just very grateful that there's 3 City players in front of him. And even though he spilled what was a fairly routine cross there, City just about get away with it.
Yeah, his handling's not been perfect, has it? I just wonder if that goal's just put him off his game a little bit as well. It was a speculative cross-come shot, really, from Yildiz, and he's probably better off punching that, isn't he, rather than trying to catch it, because he dropped it almost at the feet of an on-rushing Vlahovic.
He is. I mean, as I say, we're certainly... There was a time when goalkeepers would have been probably criticised for punching. It was almost encouraged to catch it, but the modern goalkeeper really, they are trained a lot more to punch the ball away, just because it's a numbers game, isn't it? If you punch it clear, at least you get it 10, 20 yards away from goal, whereas if you make a mistake with a catch, then obviously you've just dropped it at the feet of potentially 2 or 3 opposition players right in front of goal. But I'll tell you what, at one stage in the first half, the passes completed were almost identical, weren't they? But now City are almost 200 passes more than Juve, 435 to about 270.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the game was decided on who makes the most passes, then City would win every week, wouldn't they? But what is it now? 1 win in 7, could be 1 win in 8 after this match. They've got a lot of work to do just to get a draw out of this game now, and a draw still going to leave them, on the bubble for getting into the top 24 of the Champions League. So this is turning out to be a bit of a disastrous season for Manchester City now. I mean, they're going to be outside the top 4 in the Premier League if it carries on like this.
Absolutely. Well, I say to be outside of the qualification for the next round of the Champions League and to be out of the top 4. I mean, who'd had that on their bingo card at the start of the season? I think it would have been very, very hard to predict, but. I suppose it's fascinating, isn't it, in terms of how the league's gone this season. Liverpool under their new manager, everyone was assuming there were going to be sort of teething problems, and not far from it. He's just taken that team and kicked on, whereas City are having problems here with their team, as Juve now looking for a free kick, but he's consistently, Clement Urbani's allowing a lot of physicality. No free kick there to Juve, and City can go on the counter now. Gundogan finding De Bruyne, and now it's Doku down the left-hand side, at the edge of the area, back to De Bruyne. Doku carries on his run, gets away from his man, plays it across the 6-yard box, where Haaland had moved back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. He needed somebody to just gamble a little bit closer towards that far post, but that's a decent opening there for City. I
think Haaland's made the right run. I just don't think...
Is it the wrong pass from...
I don't think Doku sees him. It's just a bit... He's not looking to pick out a teammate. He's looking just to hit an area. Whereas Haaland he's made a very good sort of run. He's dropped the shoulder to feint to go to the back post, and he's made a very good run to the near post. He got there. The ball never came.
And it's another chance that's been and gone for Man City. We've still got plenty of time to go, though. We're at 63 minutes here on official independent off-tube studio commentary. It's Juve 1, Manchester City 0. Just to run you through very quickly, AC Milan 1, Red Star 0. It's Arsenal 1, Monaco 0. 0-0 between Benfica and Bologna. It's 1-1 between Dortmund and Barcelona. It's 3-1 to Feyenoord against Sparta Prague, and Stuttgart lead against Young Boys by 3-1. City with the throw on down the right-hand side. It's Gundogan now trying to turn away from Conceição. Finds De Bruyne. Bruyne's pass, though, is blocked off, and Conceição trying to spin away from trouble here, and he's got support here from Vlahovic and Yildiz, and he passes to Vlahovic. That was the wrong option. Yildiz was in a better position there. City now get it back, and De Bruyne finding Grealish, heading towards the area, back now towards De Bruyne, who's got an overlap here from Doku. Doku into the 6-yard box. It's blocked, but there's still a chance here for City as Bernardo Silva going back to De Bruyne, who tees it up for Gundogan. His effort is charged down. Kalulu is out there to block Kyle Walker, and the ball's now back on the halfway line, but City are starting to knock at the door just a little bit more now. Yeah,
they're getting in behind now, aren't they? They're getting in behind, and what City have been good at down the years is the cutbacks. Doku had a chance to play a cutback to Haaland moments ago, couldn't quite get it right, but the cutbacks have been coming in there from the right-hand side, although Doku is now playing on the right, actually. I think the wingers have swapped over a little bit now, but... it looks like City are finding their the old style, the old rhythm, where they can get into penetrative areas and then cut the ball back to a striker.
They're trying it again here now with Gundogan and Walker now in that more central position that he likes when City are in attacking possession. But no surprise, Juve are back in numbers here. And as soon as City take a couple of steps further back, Juve are just trying to edge that offside line a little bit further up the field, just to make it that a bit more difficult here for City to find a pass in towards Erling Haaland. It's now with Grealish and Bernardo down the down the left-hand side, I should say. It's gone out for a throw, which I think Locatelli was insisting should be a throw to Juve. Officials disagree, though. It's a throw to Manchester City. It's with Rico Lewis now. Takes it short to Bernardo Silva. Inside now, Lewis back to Bernardo Silva. Bit more space here for De Bruyne now. And he goes for goal himself, and it's just wide. I'm not surprised he goes for goal. There was a pass to try and thread it through towards Erling Haaland, but considering how good the Juve defence has been all evening, with suddenly De Bruyne in a central position, sees goal, he wants to go for goal himself.
Yeah, I think if it's on target, it's probably beaten Di Gregorio there. He got plenty of power behind it, quite a good connection as well, but he's dragged it a yard and a half wide. There was an extra pass on there, which, in hindsight, having seen the shot go wide, might have been the better option, but I think, he's 20 yards out, it's on his right foot, he's probably within his rights to have a go for that.
Fancy his chances there at De Bruyne. And ball hooked up in the air there from Thuram. It's not the best pass, really. It was chased down by Koopmeiners, but it easily gets back towards Ederson. And the visitors once again trying to start something here just inside their own half. But Juve pushing very high up the field here now, really making it difficult here for City to try and send any long balls forward. I think that's the thing that Thiago Motta really would have been warning them of. They can get, they can negate that threat of Doku, Grealish or Haaland getting in behind. And it really does give them a chance to try and stop any kind of City variation in terms of a quick ball forward, as Doku now trying to turn away from Savona. Back into Rico Lewis. Is it square now to Ruben Diaz? The visitors once again just stalling a little bit here in midfield. No quick options to play out here for Manchester City. Gundogan looking for a Walker down the right-hand side towards the edge of the area. Walker now back in towards Ilkay Gundogan. Square to Rico Lewis, switching the play over towards the left-hand side. Here is Jack Grealish, being blocked here by Savona. Grealish trying to take him on. Gets a little bit of space and goes back in towards Gvardiol. He plays it square to Gundogan, who goes for goal, and it's a acrobatic save that from Di Gregorio. I'm not going to give him too much credit, because the way he flew there, I get the feeling it was one of those that he could see he could make the save. I'll get size on that in a second, because it's a quick corner here from City. It's taken back to Bernardo Silva. Now Gundogan into the box, into the 6-yard box. Strong challenge there from Gatti out for another corner. Yeah,
City are getting some joy now, aren't they? Their moves are resulting in opportunities. That one there for Gundogan wasn't quite there. It was blocked behind for a corner, but the one before really well worked from them. And Gundogan, he's opened his body up, gone for the top corner. It's heading for the top corner, but the keeper pulls off a decent save. Like I say, he's flying. He's gone with his top hand, his slightly wrong hand, but he's good enough to put it behind for the corner.
He sees that one coming there, Di Gregorio. But to take nothing away, it's still a decent save. We're going to get a change here for Juve. Just confirmation that it is going to be Conceição who is going off here. And
double change.
Yeah, double change. It's going to be Thuram and Conceição to go off. And it's going to be McKennie and Weah to come on. It's McKennie, of course. Remember him from his time playing in the Premier League.
Yeah, 2 Americans, I think, isn't it? 2 American
Yes,
internationals.
absolutely. Yeah, well, Timothy Weah absolutely is American as well. To say, I make the point sometimes in commentary, you come up with about a 30-man squad of players whose dads I remember playing, and now their sons are playing at top-level football as well. And of course, Timothy Weah very much part of that squad, as well as Manchester City now trying to win the ball back inside the run. Gundogan was caught there as he was trying to hook that ball away, and it will be a free kick to Manchester City, still inside their own half. Well, we're over the 3-quarter mark in the game. 69 minutes gone. Juve 1, Man City 0, and it will be side to take us through to full time.
Yeah, Manchester City find themselves in a familiar position, trailing in this game to Juventus, and their Champions League knockout phase place is far from secure. Doku just about keeps that ball in right under Guardiola's nose on the touchline. City changed the point of attack now over to the left, where Grealish is now hugging the touchline, so he swapped positions with Bernardo. He plays it to Bernardo inside the penalty area, trying to turn away by the corner flag. Knocks it back to Grealish. Former Aston Villa man feints to cross, advances to the edge of the box and then stops. Plays it back to Bernardo. City just haven't been able to find that final ball. Haaland looks very, very frustrated as he stands with 3 Juventus defenders around him, but very static. He's not really making runs to try and open up space in that defence. Now it's with Doku out on the right. He's got 2 defenders in front of him, trying to take on a combination of Kalulu and Yildiz, and they eventually stop him, and the ball's cleared by Danilo down the line. Koopmeiners might fasten onto this one, although Ruben Diaz is across, and he just hooks that one into the stand, taking no risk. Quick throw in, gets behind Diaz though, and it's Vlahovic now, the goal scorer, advancing into the penalty area, but Gvardiol tidies up with the back pass to Ederson, and City have the ball back again. 20 minutes to go at Allianz Stadium, where Juventus lead Manchester City 1-0. Goal scored by Dusan Vlahovic 8 minutes into the second half. A powerful back post header which Ederson could not hold on to. City with possession on the far side of this stadium now. As we look from the TV pictures, this is off-tube studio-based commentary on the Champions League phase. City on the attack with Grealish now, taking on Savona. Comes back onto his right and then lays it up to the edge of the box for Lewis. Lewis now chips a pass to the right where Doku's in space. He brings it down immaculately up against Danilo and then teases it back to Walker. He must cross from here, and he does put a ball into the back post. It's headed away by Gatti, who comes over the top of Bernardo. It drops now to Gvardiol, who advances to the byline, tries to put a cross in himself, and it's blocked by Kalulu for a corner. In fact, it was Weir, I think, who was better there defending. Yeah,
for a corner kick, but yeah, it's starting to get a little bit one way here. I mean, City have had a large amount of the possession anyway, but they're taking a corner kick short.
Yeah, played it to Grealish, and he's still in possession. Now he lays it off to De Bruyne, back to Bernardo on the left. Neglected to cross with his left foot, goes back to De Bruyne, who shoots, but it's a tame effort over the bar, never threatening Di Gregorio, and Juve will take that all day long.
Easy one in the end, yeah. As soon as De Bruyne hits that one, you can see that it's going over the bar. And so, yeah, Di Gregorio put his arm up just in case, but he could see that one wasn't threatening him. Just to say that Red Star have now got an equaliser against AC Milan.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a coupon buster, potentially. You would have thought Milan at home would be winning that one.
Yeah, well, Red Star lost at the San Siro 4-0 to Inter earlier this season, so that's a much improved result for them if they can hold on to that with about 20 minutes to go. Stuttgart, they lead Young Boys 4-1 as well, so they might be pulling themselves up the table. As Arsenal are still 1-0 up at home to Monaco. Ball out on the near side, Manchester City throw. Came off Vlahovic's head. So City start from the back again. Gvardiol moves it out to Grealish on the left-hand side. He's up against Savona. Plays it back to Gvardiol. He's looking for somebody to move forward, who plays it square to Diaz. Now Diaz enters the Juve half. All the black and white shirts behind the ball for Thiago Motta, who must be thinking about further changes now in these final minutes of the game. Trying to keep things fresh, trying to keep the intensity on their press. And they're closing down. Juve have had 8 total attempts in the game to City's 11. But it's the one goal scored by Vlahovic that makes the difference. Here's Gundogan, who pushes forward now with the ball out to De Bruyne, who comes off his right and moves centrally now back towards Diaz. Then to Lewis. Gvardiol forward to Gundogan. Former Barcelona man, can't pick his pass through a tight area though, and it's half deflected by Koopmeiners. It's recovered by Gvardiol. Now to Lewis. Haaland now looking to make a darting run, but he just slows down again as he realises he's surrounded by black and white shirts. Now Gundogan moves it wide to the right for Doku. He's got space to run at Danilo, but Danilo solid in the tackle. The Brazilian comes away with the ball, plays it inside to Yildiz, and now Danilo again. That's a nice pass inside to McKennie, and then the ball's chipped out to the right. There's a big chance here now for Weir inside the penalty area. Weir cuts it back and he's looking for Vlahovic, then puts a ball in, and a volley from Yildiz is in the back of the net. The substitute Weir and Yildiz, as it's McKennie, the other substitute who scored it, in fact, to make it Juventus 2, Manchester City 0.
Well, it's an absolutely fabulous counter-attack this from Juve, and this puts Manchester City in a very difficult position now. 15 minutes to play, and Man City find themselves 2-0 down. And after all that attacking pressure from Manchester City, it's the substitutes for Juve. Thiago Motta's scored an absolute beauty there in terms of his tactical change, because it really has paid off here for Juve. And we'll see from the replay now, it all starts off with Manchester City just losing the ball in midfield. And they're just short of numbers, aren't they? And all of a sudden, when that pass is played over towards the right-hand side, It's good work here from McKennie to look up. He sees where Weah is. He's not going to be an offside because of where Ruben Diaz is, I don't think. Weah then looks up. His initial cross into Vlahovic's charge down. Second ball in, and that's fantastic from McKennie. I mean, he's got space to make his decision, but it's still the confidence to do that. Makes a really good contact with it, and it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, this is a guy who was playing in the Championship last season for Leeds and wasn't really rated by Leeds fans, was he? They didn't like him. He was part of the team that struggled under Jesse Marsh, and he was, just a bad fit really for them. He's absolutely found himself over in Italy, hasn't he, with Juventus, and he's an absolute leader in this team. Coming off the bench, he scored potentially the winning goal within about 5 minutes.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely massive goal that for Juve, because now Manchester City, regardless of what they do, they know they've got less than 15 minutes now to try and score twice just to get a draw in this game, and a draw wouldn't have been ideal for City anyway, so really is unravelling here for Guardiola's side.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Manchester City as another pass goes astray. It was an ambitious one from Walker out towards Grealish's flank, but he couldn't catch up to it, and it goes behind for a throw-in. So Guardiola is going to make a change now. He's going to send on Savino.
Savino, yeah, Savino's going to be coming on, whether it's... I'm assuming it'll either be for one of the two wide men. It's either going to be Doku or Grealish. We'll wait and see. But Juve, in the meantime, win the ball back
big
again.
Chance to break here on the left with Yildiz, found by Vlahovic, and he's heading towards a corner flag. So this might be a case of just trying to waste time now. But actually, it's a good underlapping run here by Danilo. Puts a decent ball in. It's knocked away by City at the near post. And now Bernardo carries ahead of Koopmeiners. Then he's stopped by the Dutchman and has to just wait for teammates to catch up with him. Plays it to Walker. Down the line to De Bruyne. Bruyne's got Doku offering outside him, his international colleague. And it goes back now to Walker. Juve trying to hold on to this 2-goal lead. Keep a clean sheet against Manchester City. Gvardiol works it wide to Grealish on that left-hand side. He's going to take on Savona. Now he knocks it inside to Gvardiol. And now Gundogan. They're just taking too long to decide what to do with the pass. It's very static. The ball stays very still. It's very un-Manchester City-like. Now the ball's into the box, and it might fall to Haaland. No, it doesn't. It's straight to Di Gregorio off a deflected touch from Bernardo.
Yeah, it's always fascinating, isn't it, when you've got a team like Man City who have been so almost unbeatable at times over the last couple of seasons, to see them as mere mortals now. It really is fascinating to see how they're responding to it, because it's new territory for them. And we mentioned at the start of the game is sort of tactical variations, rotating the goalkeeper, and it's just not working. And you can imagine City are going to be trying more of these variations as the weeks go on. But they are a real risk now of not qualifying for the knockout stage of the Champions League.
Yeah. And Guardiola has tried everything in his powers really to try and revive this team in recent weeks. He's changed the formation, he's signed a new contract, he's even now speaking about not managing another club in his career. He's saying he's going to finish with Manchester City. You know, these are all things that you're wondering where they're coming from. Is it, you know, just the statements and the actions of a man who's just desperate to try and inject some kind of positivity into the team?
I think there is that, and I think he's also probably getting sick and tired of being asked those questions, so he's trying to maybe just get a little bit more of a bit more of a buffer zone. If he says that he's never getting another club job and he wants to stay at City, maybe he's hoping there'll be less questions on that. Just looking at that replay again, I mean, the shot was pretty much straight at Edison, the replay of the second goal for Juve, but it was so powerful from McKennie. I'm not going to criticise him for not making the save there, but it was very close to him. And just to confirm, Doku has gone off and Savino has replaced him.
Yep. Not had a particularly successful night, Jeremy Doku. Of course, it was his loss of possession, although it was a long way away from goal, but Manchester City didn't touch the ball again after Doku lost possession. Juventus counted on them and got the second goal. City on the attack again, but again it's very static, very slow. The ball, it's all sort of 2-touch and 3-touch from City. Now Savino tries to get down the right. They've got a good tackle from Danilo. He's had an excellent game. He's got the Juve captain's armband on, and he really has been one of the stars of this performance tonight, the makeshift left-back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's hard really to pick out anyone from Juve who's had a disappointment. I mean, I suppose Koopmeiners, we've both been a bit disappointed from him in terms of the limited attacking moments that he's had, and maybe wasted a couple of chances as well. But overall, I think it's been a very good team performance from Juve tonight. Yeah,
back in his Manchester City days, Danilo couldn't really get a game, could he, that often?
No,
he was kept
sort
out.
of centre-back stroke sort of central midfielder. Played a little bit as a sort of left-back and right-back, but they couldn't really find his position. Just to say very quickly, involving another English team, it's now 2-0 to Arsenal against Monaco. Bukayo Saka with his second goal of the night.
Well, his performance tonight, you think that maybe Guardiola's missed something with Danilo, because he loves a utility man, doesn't he, Guardiola? He loves turning players from different positions and working on them. Maybe Danilo's got the attributes that he somehow missed out on. Bernardo plays it wide to Grealish. Now it goes back to Gvardiol, who's, again, just going to play the safe ball inside to Gundogan. They're not looking to penetrate this Juve defence because there's just no way through at the moment. Now Walker plays it square again. A lot of sideways passes, a lot of slow balls out to the wing. It's Grealish who takes it now up against Savona. Still not going to cross the ball towards Haaland, who's hardly had any service tonight. Haaland, they're just trying to make his move in the box, but it's not coming. De Bruyne now gets it, but he's playing it back inside again, not using the width in the City lineup now. He might do with Savinho. Savinho on his left foot. He's going to try and take on Danilo again. Now he sets up De Bruyne for a cross that goes in. It's headed down by Locatelli, cleared away by Juve, who look like they're set up for the counter-attack. Vlahovic gives chase, but solid pass back to Ederson from Diaz. Means that City retain possession. They're running out of time, though. There's only 10 minutes to go in this Champions League clash, and they're 2 goals down, Manchester City. Remember, they drew their last match from leading 3-0 with 20 minutes to go against Feyenoord. So 2 points dropped there. Will it be 3 points dropped again tonight? They were beaten 4-1 in the game before that by Sporting Club of Lisbon. So it's been a disastrous run in the Champions League.
It has.
After
I mean,
a
in
solid
fairness,
start.
that game against Sporting could have gone very differently. They had some really good chances in the first half that could have changed the game. Whereas tonight, they've not really had that many opportunities. They're trying to get forward here now, but is it a case of too little, too late?
Is Grealish turning away from Locatelli, then trying to win a free kick. The referee is sympathetic with that challenge and gives the Englishman the decision. Locatelli not really complaining too much as he extended a boot. So Juventus have a free kick to defend. Can Manchester City create some danger now from this position? It's about 28 to 30 yards out, slightly to the left of the centre of goal, so it would favour a right footer. Has Kevin De Bruyne got the power in his boot? Has he got the thunder in his boots here to test Di Gregorio from this range? Otherwise, maybe they're trying to set it up for a cross from out wide, but
they've not worked really for City yet. They've tried that 3 or 4 times tonight, the short ball and then a ball from the left or right. It's a little bit too predictable from City so far, but then at the same time, it's a long way out from goal for De Bruyne to be going.
He's chipped it in towards the far post, and it's headed into the air by Diaz and cleared by Juventus, out for a throw. Throw in which Lewis will take from in front of Guardiola. Of course, he won the Champions League in his time at Barcelona and has guided Manchester City to their first European Cup as well in his time in Manchester, but feels like maybe this season is not going to be a successful one for City in Europe. The results have turned against them, really. They drew their opening match of this competition against Inter at home, and now they give away a free kick for a foul by Grealish on Locatelli, and the referee's going to get the card out for the first time tonight and show that to Jack Grealish.
The irony of that, because I mean, Grealish has probably been kicked around 2 or 3 times in this game, and the referee's not been close to booking any of the players who have been fouling Grealish, but on this occasion, just a little bit too much there. Him and Locatelli have had a couple of scrapes already in this game, and Grealish just trying to get a little bit more onto Locatelli there, and he gets the first yellow of the night, but it's taken 84 minutes.
Yeah, it feels just one of those nights for Manchester City, doesn't it? Grealish is...
I suppose from Guardiola's point of view, he'd look at the fact that his side have now got home game against Manchester United, which they'll fancy their chances in. Then they're away to Villa. That won't be easy before a game on Boxing Day, early kick-off against Everton. But meanwhile, a former Premier League player, a former Aston Villa player, in fact, Douglas Luiz, comes on here. And going off is Kenan Yildiz and Vlahovic, a double change.
Yeah, Kenan Yildiz, I thought he's had a good game. Vlahovic obviously scored the opening goal, and Yildiz created it as well, didn't he? So those two have certainly played their part. We'll see if the substitutes can have as much effect as the last two did for Juventus, who'd scored and assisted within about 5 minutes of coming on. But yeah, Juventus looking good for their place in the Champions League knockout phase now. If they can see this result out with 6 or 7 minutes to go, it's going to yellow card now for Di Gregorio for time wasting. he'd taken too long over that free kick, so the referee all of a sudden has decided that he has got a yellow card with him tonight.
Well, you mentioned he has 3 per game. He's probably thinking, well, I need to get closer to my average now. So he's trying to just catch up towards the end of the game there. But it's a free kick to Juve, quite a long way out from goal as well.
Di Gregorio takes the free kick eventually and launches it downfield in the direction of McKennie. He can't win the header as it now falls to Grealish, who clears down the line. And nobody really there for City to chase. Haaland allows Gatti to get the ball, and now Kalulu to Danilo. Finding McKennie, little back heel from him doesn't quite come off, and it's City who take over now with Savinho. Savinho trying to get to the byline. It might fall kindly for Grealish. Sorry, for De Bruyne, puts a cross in, and eventually, with a bit of help from Locatelli, that's going to fall to Di Gregorio, and he just picks the ball up. Yeah,
just to confirm the other change, we mentioned that Douglas Luiz came on for Kenan Yildiz. Vlahovic went off to be replaced by Sam and Bangula, so he's on the field now. And just we're getting a little bit of pushing and shoving here on the goal line for Juve. I think the issue is that suddenly the Bernardo Silva is furious that the goalkeeper's taking too long to restart play from a goal kick. And I think that was the issue here. He was just trying to let it go, and then there was a bit of a push there for Bernardo Silva. Then Gatti getting a little bit frustrated about that, but it's just the usual handbags from footballers there.
Well, yeah, Bernardo is he's got a bit of history at showing his frustration in moments like this, and certainly it's a frustrating night for Manchester City. So he's the second City player booked this evening. Still got a bit to say about the whole episode.
I think, in fairness, Bernardo's completely wrong there, because it's not like Di Gregorio was wasting time. The ball was still live. It's just that he was letting it roll into his hands, and his big defender was just stopping anyone from getting near him. And Bernardo took exception to that, but actually, it's not like taking too long over a goal kick. The ball was already in play.
And Bagula's gone down there. Not sure if it's been given as a free kick. City are going to make another change now as Jack Grealish is replaced by Matheus Nunes. So maybe this is Guardiola thinking about the weekend and the Manchester derby. You want to save Grealish for that game, but has he given up on this match now with 4 minutes to go?
Well, I think that I don't think that Guardiola believes that bringing on Matheus Nunes now for Grealish is going to change the course of this game. I think he's thinking about the fact that Grealish is on a yellow card. There's a little bit of feistiness in the game now. Maybe he's worried that Grealish could perhaps lose his head and then get himself suspended for another Champions League game, so he wants to avoid that. But yeah, it's going to be different. I mean, this is new territory for Guardiola, having to explain why his side have lost again week after week. It's not something that he's used to.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've had a few prickly responses from Guardiola down the years in press conferences and in post-match interviews when he's not liked the questioning. A bizarre question that he answered, or a bizarre answer he gave to the question about Rico Lewis being sent off at the weekend that I think still nobody really understands. So we'll see what he says about this and whether he takes the blame on himself. Usually he does that, try and protect his team. He'll say it's all my fault, I set the team up wrong or something like that. But yeah, he can't be happy with what he's seeing in front of him. Is De Bruyne, who has it now. Plays it back safely to Walker, but City have played far too many safe passes tonight. Played a lot of them, but hardly any of them have hurt Juventus. Here's Lewis, who works it out wide to Nunes, the substitute. He lays it back to Gvardiol, and now Walker plays it wide to De Bruyne. De Bruyne comes in field again, tries to poke it towards Haaland in the box. It's not going to reach him, cleared by McKennie. Chested down by Danilo, and Bagula trying to find the Brazilian who keeps it in play, but he's only kept it in play to the benefit of City and Gundogan. Now Bernardo attacking down the right, puts an early ball in. It might drop to Haaland, it doesn't know, and it's slammed away by Savona. City pick it up again though. 90 seconds of normal time to go as Diaz finds Gundogan. It feels like City are just playing for a consolation goal here now. I don't think there's enough time for them to go on and win this game. Nunes again, operating on the right. Works it wide to Savinho. Savinho, again, he just can't find a route through the wall of Juventus defenders in front of him. Gundogan pokes it wide to Nunes. Nunes is still not going to cross this one. Still not going to cross it. He's holding it up and playing it wide to Walker on the other side now. Bernardo, is he going to bite the bullet and put a cross in? No, he doesn't. He plays it square again. It's patient from Manchester City, but the fans must be tearing their hair out, those City fans who've travelled from Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, patience here when they're 2-0 down with less than a minute to go. This is not a time to be patient. City have got to find a little bit more urgency. If they were to get a goal back right now, then it does make injury time very interesting, but they actually have to get the ball in the box.
That's a nice ball into the box for Gvardiol. Knocks it back to Lewis. Lewis now he shoots, takes a deflection, and it's fallen kindly. Although City wants a penalty. They think it took a deflection off a Juventus arm. It fell kindly into the arms of Di Gregorio, but City are claiming a penalty.
Well, they're very animated there, Rico Lewis in particular. Let's just see if they've got any arguments here as this shot comes in. Does that deflect off Gatti's arm? We'll see from this close-up here.
It's by his side.
It's by his side. It takes a slight deflection before it even reaches him, so I think they will be all right with that one, I think, Juve.
Yeah, VAR will check it, but at the moment the game goes on, so Juve have a chance here, but it's been lost by Weir. So City pick it up again with Nunes. And then a good challenge comes in from Locatelli. He's had a good game as well, and he's geeing up the fans on the far side as he makes that challenge.
Not much injury time as well. As I say, we would have expected in the Premier League game with all the substitutions and a couple of goals being scored, I think we would have expected a little bit more than what we're getting in this one. But it's just 2 minutes with 30 seconds already been played.
Yeah, Arsenal lead Monaco 3-0, so they'll be moving up into the top 8 of the Champions League tonight. Yeah, just a minute and a half now of stoppage time remaining in this game. City 2-0 down in Turin. And their fans will be heading home, scratching their head and maybe starting to be worried a little bit now about the future of the team under Pep Guardiola. I mean, if they were to lose the Manchester derby, it's a big ask, isn't it? But if they were to lose that game, would some City fans be sort of Guardiola out?
Well, I think it would be a really sort of drastic move to do that, because then it would obviously involve having to bring in a whole new coaching staff, a whole new philosophy, whether or not the whole squad would then stay together. But you've got to say, I mean, at home to Manchester United, if they were to lose that, then there's certainly a lot of questions would be asked, because United seem quite vulnerable as well now. So it could be a very interesting and a nervous game at the Etihad on Sunday.
Yep. Guardiola's been actually less animated than I've seen him in some games where City have been winning. He just looks like he's accepting of what's going on in front of him now. The standards have dropped that low that he's not really sort of showing frustration with it. It
may well be that, as I say, he might have had some ideas before the game as to how to set his team up tactically, and he's sort of been proven wrong, and it may well be that he's having to accept that. But yeah, frustration there from Rico Lewis. He can't let it go that a throw-on's gone against him now. Everything's angering Manchester City right at these final few seconds.
The Juventus fans have suddenly got off their seats and started to wave the flags around. I think they know that they're home and dry now. The substitutes are on their feet as well, ready to come on and celebrate this famous win for Juventus as they trying to keep the ball down by the corner flag now. And referee says foul there, does he? Or does he say full time? He's blown the whistle, that is it. Juventus have beaten Manchester City by 2-0. Thiago Motta shakes hands with Pep Guardiola. It's a result that keeps Juve very much in with a shout of going through in the Champions League to the knockout phases, but it puts more questions about Manchester City. It's 2-0 to Juventus.